Dr. Lisa Matthews wiped the sweat from her forehead as she stared at the ancient stone structure rising from the dead planet's surface. The ruins of Kepler 442b had been calling to her team for 3 months now, sending out energy signals that made no sense according to current science. The patterns were too organized to be natural, too complex to be random. "Jake, you need to see this," she called into her communicator. Commander Jake Harrison was busy dealing with the diplomatic mess back on Earth, but this discovery couldn't wait. The stone wasn't really stone at all. Up close, Lisa could see it was some kind of advanced material that looked ancient but felt alive under her scanner. Her equipment was going crazy, showing energy readings that should have been impossible from something this old. "What are you looking at, Doc?" asked her assistant, Dr. Amy Rodriguez. Amy was the best language expert they had, brought along specifically to decode any writing they might find. "I think we found something big," Lisa said. She pointed her scanner at the wall and watched the numbers spike. "This thing is older than anything we've ever seen. We're talking millions of years, maybe tens of millions." Amy stepped closer to examine the symbols carved into the surface. Her face went pale as she traced the marks with her finger. "Lisa, these symbols, they look familiar." "Familiar how?" "Like early human writing." "But that's impossible. Humans only developed writing a few thousand years ago." Meanwhile, back on Earth, Commander Jake Harrison was dealing with his own impossible situation. He stared at the message on his screen for the 10th time, unable to believe what he was reading. The Galactic Confederation wanted to fast-track humanity's membership application. After only 50 years of space travel, the aliens were practically begging humans to join their organization. It made no sense. Jake had been expecting decades of careful negotiations, maybe centuries before humanity would be considered ready for galactic society. Instead, the Alien Council was rolling out the red carpet like humans were long-lost relatives. His assistant knocked on the door. "Sir, the alien representatives are here for the preliminary meeting." Jake straightened his uniform and walked into the conference room. 3 alien beings waited for him around the table. The first was tall and thin with blue skin that seemed to glow slightly. The second looked like a walking crystal formation with lights pulsing inside. The third was covered in golden scales and had too many eyes. "Commander Harrison," the blue alien said in perfect English, "I am Counselor Vex of the Vorthak. We are honored to finally meet with representatives of your species." "Finally?" Jake asked. "This is humanity's first formal contact with the Confederation." The 3 aliens exchanged glances. The crystal being spoke next, its voice sounding like wind chimes. "Forgive us, Commander. We sometimes speak carelessly. We are simply excited to welcome humanity back to the galactic community." "Back?" Jake raised an eyebrow. "We've never been part of any galactic community." The golden-scaled alien cleared its throat. "Of course. We misspoke. We meant to say we are excited to welcome humanity into the galactic community for the first time." But Jake noticed how they all avoided looking directly at him when they said it. Back on Kepler 442b, Lisa and Amy had made their way deeper into the ruins. The structure was much larger than they had first thought, extending far underground. Their lights revealed corridor after corridor of the same strange material, all covered in symbols that Amy was frantically trying to decode. "This is incredible," Amy whispered as they walked through what looked like a vast hall. "The writing system is definitely related to human languages, but it's like it's the source they all came from." Lisa stopped walking. "Amy, look at this." They stood before a massive door easily 20 feet tall and covered in intricate carvings. But it wasn't the size that caught their attention. It was the fact that their human presence seemed to activate something. Lights began glowing along the door's edges and they could hear machinery humming to life somewhere behind the walls. "The door is responding to us," Lisa said in amazement. "It's like it recognizes human DNA or something." Amy pressed her hand against one of the symbols and the entire door began to glow brighter. "Lisa, I think this door is meant for humans." "Only humans?" The door slowly swung open, revealing a chamber beyond that took their breath away. The room was enormous, with a domed ceiling that showed what looked like a map of the galaxy. But it wasn't just any map. Earth sat at the very center, with thousands of lines connecting it to points of light scattered across the spiral arms. "This has to be some kind of mistake," Lisa said, but her voice shook as she spoke. "Earth can't be at the center. We're newcomers to space travel. We don't even have colonies outside our solar system yet." Amy was studying the symbols around the star map. Lisa, according to these markings, this map is over 5 million years old. And every line, every connection, they all lead back to Earth. On Earth, Jake was having an equally unsettling experience. The alien representatives had brought gifts for humanity's entry into the Confederation. Advanced technology, star charts, even invitations to visit their homeworlds. But every conversation felt strange, like the aliens were talking around some huge secret. "Commander," the Vorthak representative said, "we have prepared a special welcome ceremony for your species. All the major civilizations want to attend. You see, humanity holds a very special place in galactic history." "What kind of special place?" Jake asked. The aliens exchanged those looks again. "Your species has always been remarkable," the crystal being said carefully. "Even in the old stories, humans were described as unique." "Old stories? Stories from when?" The golden-scaled alien shifted uncomfortably. "Ancient legends, Commander. Every civilization has them. Stories of the first people to travel between stars, the ones who built the hyperspace routes we all use today." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "And these first people, what did they look like in your legends?" "Very much like you, Commander Harrison. Very much like humans." Back in the underground chamber, Lisa and Amy made another discovery that changed everything. Behind the star map, they found what looked like a control panel. When Lisa approached it, the entire system came to life, displaying information in symbols that Amy could partially read. "It's some kind of archive," Amy said, her voice barely a whisper. "Lisa, it's trying to download information into our minds. I can feel it probing, like it's checking if we're human. Should we let it? I don't think we have a choice." "It's already starting." The information hit Lisa like a wave. Images flashed through her mind faster than she could process them. Vast cities among the stars. Fleets of ships carrying the human banner across the galaxy. Alien worlds being transformed to support life. And at the center of it all, Earth, not as a small blue planet on the edge of nowhere, but as the capital of an empire that spanned thousands of star systems. When the download stopped, Lisa found herself on the floor with Amy kneeling beside her, both of them shaking. "Did you see it too?" Lisa asked. "The empire. The colonies. All of it." Amy's voice was filled with wonder and terror. "Lisa, we're not newcomers to the galaxy. We're the ones who came first. We built all of this." Above them, the star map continued to glow, showing Earth at the center of a network that connected every corner of the galaxy. The aliens hadn't been welcoming humanity into galactic society. They had been welcoming humanity home. Captain Ben Foster stepped off the transport ship onto Nexus Prime, the capital world of the Galactic Confederation. Around him, his diplomatic team tried to look calm, but Ben could see the excitement in their eyes. This was humanity's first official visit to an alien world, and everything had to go perfectly. What Ben wasn't prepared for was the reception waiting for them. Thousands of alien beings lined the spaceport corridors. Some floated, others walked on multiple legs, and a few seemed to phase in and out of visibility. But they all did the same thing when they saw the human delegation. They bowed. "Captain Foster," said Counselor Vex, the blue-skinned Vorthak who had visited Earth. "Welcome home." "Home?" Ben asked, confused. "This is our first time here." Vex's expression flickered with something that might have been embarrassment. "I meant welcome to your new home among the stars, of course." But as they walked through the city, Ben noticed how the aliens treated them. Not like newcomers or junior members of some galactic club, but like returning royalty. Shopkeepers offered their finest goods for free. Government officials practically fought each other for the honor of speaking with the human delegates. Children of various species pointed and whispered words that sounded like prayers. "The returned ones," Ben heard one alien mother telling her young. "The builders have come back." That evening, at the official welcome ceremony, things got even stranger. The ceremony hall was filled with representatives from hundreds of worlds, all watching the humans with a mixture of awe and reverence that made Ben's skin crawl. The Supreme Chancellor of the Confederation, an ancient being that looked like a walking tree with silver bark, gave a speech that lasted for hours. Most of it was about peace and cooperation, but certain phrases stuck in Ben's mind. After the great silence that lasted eons, the Chancellor said, "After the forgetting that swept across the galaxy, we have waited. We have kept the old ways alive. maintained the systems as best we could, and hoped that one day, those who built our civilization would return to us. When Ben asked for clarification later, the alien officials just smiled and changed the subject. Meanwhile, back on Earth, archaeologist Dr. Sam Parker was making discoveries that turned human history upside down. Deep beneath the Sahara Desert, his team had found a complex that made the Egyptian pyramids look like children's toys. The underground facility stretched for miles in every direction. The walls were made of the same material Lisa had found on Kepler 442b, and the technology inside was beyond anything humans had ever built. But it wasn't alien technology. Somehow, impossibly, it was human. Dr. Parker called his assistant from across the main chamber. "You need to see this." Sam hurried over to find his assistant standing before a wall covered in what looked like control panels. But these weren't dead artifacts. Lights were blinking, displays were active, and the whole system hummed with power. "It turned on when I got close," his assistant said nervously. "It's like it was waiting for a human to show up." Sam approached the wall carefully. As soon as he came within arm's reach, a section of the wall lit up with symbols that looked almost familiar. A scanner emerged from the wall and passed over Sam's body, lingering on his eyes and hands. Then a voice spoke in perfect English, though it sounded ancient and tired. "Welcome, descendant. Genetic markers confirmed. You are human, but your patterns are incomplete. What has happened to us?" Sam nearly jumped out of his skin. "Who are you? What is this place?" "I am the archive of the Terran hegemony, guardian of human knowledge. This facility has been dormant for 4.7 million years, awaiting the return of our people. But you are changed, diminished. What happened to the great work?" "I don't understand," Sam said. "Humans have only been civilized for a few thousand years. We just learned to fly a century ago." The archive was quiet for a long time. Then, "Show me your historical records. All of them." In her lab across the ocean, Dr. Rachel Stone was discovering that human DNA told a very different story than human history books. She had been studying genetic samples from around the world when she noticed something impossible. Every human alive showed signs of massive genetic modification. Not recent changes, but alterations that went back hundreds of thousands of years. Someone had deliberately changed human evolution, turning off genes that should have been active and activating others that should have been dormant. It's like someone took a highly advanced human genome and stripped it down to basics, she explained to her research team. "Imagine taking a supercomputer and rewiring it to work like a simple calculator. That's what happened to human DNA." Her assistant, Dr. Tom Brady, pulled up a comparison chart. "Look at this, Rachel. If we restore the deactivated genes based on these patterns, the result would be humans with enhanced intelligence, perfect memory, extended lifespans, and resistance to most diseases. But why would anyone do that to an entire species?" "Maybe they didn't do it to us," Tom said quietly. "Maybe we did it to ourselves." Agent Nick Coleman worked for Earth's intelligence services, and his job was to gather information about the aliens humanity was now dealing with. What he found in the alien databases made him question everything he thought he knew about human history. Every major alien civilization had legends about the first ones, or the builders. These mysterious beings had appeared in the galaxy millions of years ago, uplifted primitive species into spacefaring civilizations, built the hyperspace network that connected all the worlds, and established the basic laws and customs that still governed galactic society. Then, according to all the legends, the builders had simply vanished. The descriptions of these builders were remarkably consistent across hundreds of different alien cultures that had never met each other. They were bipedal, about 6 feet tall with 5 fingers on each hand and forward-facing eyes. They were curious, creative, and surprisingly emotional for such an advanced species. They cared deeply about other forms of life and seemed driven to help younger species reach their potential. Nick stared at the artist's recreation of a builder based on alien descriptions. It could have been a photograph of a human being, but the most disturbing discovery was what the aliens called the Great Silence. According to their records, the builders hadn't just vanished. They had fought a terrible civil war that tore their civilization apart. The war had ended when something called the Reset Protocol was activated, and after that, the builders were gone. The aliens had spent millions of years maintaining the systems the builders left behind. hoping that somehow their creators would return. And now humans had arrived, looking exactly like the builders of legend, claiming to be a young species from a small world called Earth. Back in the Sahara facility, Sam Parker was getting the education of his lifetime from the archive. The AI showed him records of the Terran hegemony, the vast human empire that had ruled the galaxy before the Great Silence. "We were explorers first," the archive explained as holographic images filled the chamber. "Your ancestors reached the stars and found them mostly empty. A few primitive species, some showing promise, others barely conscious. We decided to help them grow." Sam watched in amazement as the holograms showed ancient humans uplifting alien races, teaching them technology, giving them the gift of intelligence itself. But something went wrong. The archive continued. A faction arose among us calling themselves the Purists. They believed we had strayed too far from our original nature. They thought genetic enhancement and technological augmentation were corrupting what made us human. The holographic display showed great battles among the stars, human fleets fighting human fleets while their alien children watched in horror. The Purists won, the archive said sadly. They released a biological weapon designed to reset human evolution, forcing our species back to what they considered our pure state. Enhanced humans became primitive again. Our great cities fell silent. Our fleets drifted empty through space. And the aliens? They survived. We had taught them well. They maintained what they could of our civilization and waited for us to return. They are still waiting. Sam felt the weight of millions of years pressing down on him. So we really are the builders. We really did create galactic civilization. Yes, descendant, and now you have returned, just as the weapon was designed to allow, when humanity was ready to reclaim its heritage without repeating the mistakes of the past. Outside the facility, Sam's team was making another discovery. Satellites around Earth were detecting similar energy signatures from sites all over the planet. Ancient human facilities were waking up everywhere, responding to the presence of their creators' descendants. The galaxy was about to remember who had built it and why. Dr. Lisa Matthews couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the memories downloaded from the Elder Archive on Kepler 442b. Images of vast human cities floating among the stars, fleets of ships carrying Earth's banner to distant worlds, and alien species bowing before human teachers who had given them the gift of consciousness itself. The memories were becoming clearer each day, as if her brain was slowly learning to process information it was never meant to handle. She saw the golden age of the Terran hegemony, when humans ruled not as conquerors but as gardeners, nurturing young civilizations and helping them bloom among the stars. Commander Kate Adams led the joint expedition back to the Elder Ruins, this time with representatives from a dozen alien species. The aliens insisted on coming despite the obvious danger. They called it a pilgrimage. "The sacred sites of the builders," whispered Dr. Venn, a lizard-like saurian archaeologist. "We have dreamed of this moment for 1,000,000 generations." Kate watched as her human team members approached the ancient structures. Just like before, the technology responded instantly to human presence. Doors opened, lights activated, and systems that had been dormant for eons began functioning perfectly. But the alien reaction was what really caught her attention. As the ruins came to life, every alien in the expedition fell to their knees. Some were crying, others were chanting in their native languages, and a few seemed to be praying. "Commander Adams," said Ambassador Thex, a floating jellyfish-like being from the drift systems, "do you understand what you have done? These are the original construction sites, the places where your ancestors built the foundation of all galactic civilization." Kate stared at the massive structures rising from the planet's surface. "Our ancestors built this?" "Not just this, everything. The hyperspace routes that connect every system. The communication networks that allow us to speak across the galaxy. The basic technology that every species uses to survive among the stars. All of it came from human minds millions of years ago." Dr. Tony Wright, humanity's best theoretical physicist, was studying the hyperspace network from the inside for the first time. What he found made him question everything he thought he knew about space travel. "It's incredible," he told his team via quantum communicator. "The entire network is based on human mathematical principles. The programming language is derived from ancient human linguistic structures. And the core systems, they can only be fully accessed by human operators." Tony was floating in a maintenance pod deep inside a hyperspace relay station, looking at technology that should have been completely alien but instead felt strangely familiar. Every alien species in the galaxy has been using human-built infrastructure for millions of years, he continued. They've been maintaining it as best they could, but they never had full access. Only humans can see the complete system architecture. His assistant, Dr. Carol White, was monitoring from the station's control room. Tony, the alien technicians here are going crazy. They're saying you're accessing functions they didn't even know existed. Because I'm human, Tony realized. This whole network was designed to recognize human genetic patterns. We're not just users of this technology, we're its rightful administrators. On Earth, Professor Maria Santos was deep in the Sahara facility, working with the archive to piece together the final days of the Terran hegemony. What she learned painted a picture of a civilization torn apart by its own success. We had become gods, the archive explained, as holographic displays showed the height of human power. We could create life, modify genetics, build worlds, even design new forms of consciousness. Some of us believed this was our destiny. Others thought we had gone too far. Maria watched ancient recordings of the debates that had split humanity. The expansionists wanted to continue growing, to spread human influence to every corner of the galaxy. The purists demanded a return to natural humanity, free from genetic modification and technological enhancement. The war that followed devastated everything, the archive continued. Brother fought brother across 1,000 worlds while their alien children watched in horror. The species we had uplifted tried to mediate, but they were caught in the middle of a conflict they couldn't understand. How did it end? Maria asked. The purists developed a biological weapon called the Reset Protocol. It was designed to strip away all genetic enhancements and return humans to their original evolutionary state. They believed this would force humanity to remember what it meant to be truly human. The holographic display showed the weapon spreading across human space, hitting colony after colony. Enhanced humans became primitive again, their vast knowledge lost, their great cities falling silent. But the weapon was smarter than the purists realized, the archive said. It contained hidden programming that would only allow humanity to fully recover when they were ready to do better. When they had learned humility and wisdom. And that time is now? Your presence here suggests it is. The weapon is deactivating across human space. Your people are beginning to remember who they really are. The galactic reaction to humanity's awakening was mixed. Some alien species like the Vorthak and the Crystalline Collective embraced the return of their creators with joy and celebration. Others were not so welcoming. Captain Ryan Miller commanded the Earth Defense Force ship New Horizon when they encountered their first hostile response. The Korthax Empire had sent a fleet to intercept human ships exploring what they claimed was Korthax territory. Human vessel, came the transmission from the lead Korthax warship. You are trespassing in sovereign space. Withdraw immediately. Ryan studied the star charts his crew had recently downloaded from awakened human archives. According to their records, this system had been a human colony for over 3 million years before the Great Silence. Korthax fleet, Ryan responded. Our records show this system as human territory. We're simply returning to reclaim our ancestral holdings. Your records are false, the Korthax commander snarled. My people have controlled this space for 50,000 years. We will not surrender it to upstart primitives who claim ancient heritage. The standoff might have turned violent, but then something unexpected happened. Ancient defense platforms hidden in the system's asteroid suddenly came online, responding to the presence of human DNA aboard Ryan's ship. The Korthax found themselves surrounded by weapons that had been built by human hands, before their civilization had even developed spaceflight. This is impossible, the Korthax commander whispered. These platforms are older than our oldest legends. Not older than ours, Ryan replied. We built them, and we're taking them back. Similar scenes were playing out across the galaxy. On thousands of worlds, ancient human technology was awakening from its long sleep. Orbital stations that alien species had thought were natural phenomena revealed themselves to be massive human constructs. Underground facilities emerged from beneath alien cities. Dormant factories and asteroid belts began producing ships designed with human specifications. Dr. Peter Chen was studying the awakening process from Earth's primary research station. What he saw amazed and terrified him. It's not just technology, he reported to the World Council. The entire galaxy is waking up to remember its human origins. Star charts are updating themselves. Navigation systems are recalibrating. Even the basic physics that govern hyperspace travel are shifting to accommodate human understanding. What does this mean for the alien species? Asked Council President Helen Moore. It means they're about to discover that everything they thought they knew about their own history is wrong. They weren't the first to reach the stars. They weren't the builders of galactic civilization. They were the students, and their teachers have finally come home. Meanwhile, on dozens of worlds that alien species had claimed for millennia, the ground itself was telling a different story. Human ruins were rising from beneath alien settlements. Ancient statues carved in human likeness were emerging from the depths of alien oceans. Archaeological sites that had puzzled alien scientists for generations suddenly made perfect sense when viewed through human eyes. Dr. Alice Johnson led one such excavation on the Zephyrian homeworld. The crystalline beings had always claimed to be the first intelligent life in their system, but the ruins Alice's team uncovered told a different tale. These structures predate Zephyrian civilization by millions of years, Alice announced as her team used human DNA scanners to activate long-dormant systems. And they're clearly designed for human occupation. The local Zephyrian officials watched in stunned silence as rooms designed for bipedal beings flickered to life, displaying information in ancient human languages that were slowly being translated by Alice's linguistic AI. Your people lived here once, Alice told them gently. Before you became crystalline, before you developed your current form of consciousness, you were one of the first species we uplifted, given intelligence and purpose by human teachers who cared about your potential. The revelation hit the galactic community like a shockwave. Every major alien civilization began discovering evidence of human presence in their earliest history. The beings they had worshipped as mythical builders or first ones weren't myths at all. They were humans, and the humans had returned. The Galactic Confederation was falling apart. In the 3 months since humanity's true nature had been revealed, protests and riots had broken out on hundreds of worlds. Some alien species demanded immediate human leadership, believing their creators should resume their rightful place as rulers of the galaxy. Others wanted nothing to do with humanity, preferring the independence they had fought to build during the long silence. Dr. Alex Murphy stood in the abandoned command center of what had once been the galaxy's greatest human city. The facility was hidden inside a hollowed-out moon orbiting the galactic core, a location so dangerous that no alien species had ever dared to explore it thoroughly. But Alex's team had followed the ancient star maps, and what they found took their breath away. It's called the Nexus, Alex explained to the Earth Council via quantum communication. According to the archives we've activated, this was the central command post for the entire Terran hegemony. From here, ancient humans controlled every major system in the galaxy. The Nexus was vast beyond imagination. Control rooms stretched for miles in every direction, each one managing different aspects of galactic civilization. One controlled the hyperspace network that allowed faster-than-light travel. Another managed the communication systems that connected billions of worlds. A third oversaw the automated systems that maintained planetary environments on thousands of colony worlds. And all of it had been waiting for humans to come home. The scary part, Alex continued, is that it's all still functional. Every system, every control interface, every piece of technology. The aliens have been using human infrastructure for millions of years, but they've only had access to the basic user functions. We have administrative privileges. Dr. Sarah Kim, working alongside Alex, had activated the Nexus's main display system. What they saw was a real-time map of the entire galaxy, showing the location and status of every world, every space station, every significant piece of technology. Alex, look at this, Sarah called. The system is showing us worlds that aren't on any current star charts. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. What kind of worlds? Human colony worlds. They're in some kind of stasis mode, have been for millions of years. But the life support systems are still running and the populations are still alive. Alex felt his knees go weak. How many people are we talking about? Sarah checked the numbers again. If these readings are correct, there are over 1 billion humans scattered across the galaxy in various forms of suspended animation. They've been sleeping since the Great Silence, waiting for someone to wake them up. Meanwhile, Captain Dana Bell was leading humanity's first official fleet toward the Nexus. The 20-ship formation included vessels from Earth as well as several alien species that had pledged loyalty to returning human leadership. But they weren't alone in space. "Captain," called her communications officer, "we're receiving multiple signals. The Korthax Empire has assembled a battle fleet 3 times larger than ours. They're moving to intercept us before we reach the Nexus." Dana studied the tactical display. The Korthax were bringing everything they had, over 60 warships, including their massive dreadnoughts and carrier vessels. It would be a slaughter if it came to a fight. "They're not the only ones," her scanner operator reported. "I'm reading fleets from the hegemony states, the Voidwalkers, and at least 6 other major powers. They're all converging on our position. Are they coming to help us or stop us?" "Mixed signals, Captain. Some are broadcasting support messages, others are demanding we turn back." Dana realized that half the galaxy was about to collide in the space around the Nexus. The question was whether they would be meeting for a celebration or a battle. Back on Earth, the situation was becoming desperate. Agent Nick Coleman brought the latest intelligence reports to an emergency session of the World Council. "The Korthax aren't just mobilizing their fleet," Nick reported. "They're calling for a complete military alliance against humanity. Their propaganda is spreading across a dozen systems, claiming that humans are false gods trying to enslave the galaxy." President Helen Moore looked exhausted. "How many species are supporting them?" "At last count, 17 major civilizations and over 40 minor ones. They're calling themselves the Independence Coalition. Their stated goal is to prevent humanity from reclaiming any territory or technology outside the Sol system." "And our supporters?" 23 major species and about 60 smaller ones. They want to restore human leadership immediately and return to what they call the golden age of the Terran hegemony. Dr. Carol Thompson, Earth's chief xenopsychologist, had been studying the alien reaction patterns. "The problem is that both sides are wrong," she said. "The coalition thinks we're conquerors trying to rebuild an empire. Our supporters think we're gods returning to rule them. Neither group understands that we're just people trying to figure out what happened to our ancestors." The crisis came to a head when the Korthax made their move. Instead of waiting for the confrontation at the Nexus, they launched a preemptive strike against Earth itself. 3 Korthax battle groups dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, their weapons powered and ready. "Earth Defense Force, this is Fleet Commander Cax of the Korthax Empire," came the transmission. "Surrender immediately and submit to Coalition authority, or we will destroy your homeworld." Admiral Jack Murphy, commanding Earth's defense fleet, looked at the odds. 36 human ships against over 100 alien warships equipped with weapons humanity had never seen before. It should have been hopeless, but Earth had been keeping secrets. "All ships withdraw to minimum safe distance," Admiral Murphy ordered. "Initiate Earth Defense Protocol 7. Around the planet, systems that had been dormant since before the rise of human civilization began to wake up. The moon wasn't just Earth's natural satellite. It was the largest fortress ever built, honeycombed with weapons and defenses that had protected Earth for over 5 million years. Ancient, orbital platforms that had been mistaken for space debris suddenly revealed their true nature as massive weapon systems. Asteroids throughout the solar system lit up with targeting scanners. And from Earth itself, energy signatures began emerging that made the Korthax fleet look like toys. "This is impossible," Fleet Commander Cax whispered, as his sensors showed him the true nature of Earth's defenses. "These energy readings, they're off our scales." "Earth isn't just humanity's homeworld," Admiral Murphy replied. "It's the fortress capital of the galaxy's first and greatest empire. You're not attacking a primitive world. You're attacking the most heavily defended planet in known space." The Earth defense grid had been built by humans who had learned to think on a galactic scale. Every asteroid, every moon, every piece of space debris in the solar system was part of an integrated defense network that could destroy entire fleets. It had been sleeping for millions of years, but it remembered its purpose. The Korthax fleet found themselves targeted by weapons they couldn't even see, let alone understand. Energy beams emerged from empty space. Missiles materialized from what looked like cosmic dust. And through it all, Earth sat serenely in the center, protected by technology that made their most advanced weapons look primitive. "Fleet Commander," one of Cax's officers reported in a shaking voice, "our weapons can't penetrate their defenses. Our shields can't stop their attacks. We're completely outmatched." But the humans didn't fire. Instead, Admiral Murphy opened a communication channel to the entire Korthax fleet. "We don't want to hurt you," he said simply. You're our children, whether you accept it or not. Your ancestors were uplifted by humans millions of years ago. We gave you intelligence, technology, and the stars themselves. We're not here to conquer you. We're here to protect you just like we always have. As if to prove his point, the Earth defense grid suddenly shifted its targeting. Instead of aiming at the Korthax fleet, every weapon in the solar system turned toward empty space. Moments later, a massive explosion lit up the outer system as something invisible and hostile was vaporized. What was that? Cax demanded. Harvester probe from the void beyond, Admiral Murphy replied calmly. They've been probing our defenses for weeks, waiting for a chance to strike while we were distracted. The Earth defense grid has been tracking them the whole time, protecting not just Earth but every ship in this system, including yours. The revelation hit the Korthax fleet like a physical blow. While they had been preparing to destroy Earth, Earth had been protecting them from threats they hadn't even detected. Back at the Nexus, Dr. Alex Murphy and his team were making the most important discovery in human history. Deep in the facility's core, they had found the central control system for every human colony world that had gone into stasis during the Great Silence. It's a fail-safe system, Alex explained to his team. When the reset protocol was activated, it didn't just affect humans on Earth. Every human colony in the galaxy received the shutdown signal. But instead of forcing their populations back to primitive states, most colonies chose to go into suspended animation, waiting for the day when it would be safe to wake up. Dr. Sarah Kim was studying the colony status displays. Alex, there are sleeping human cities on planets throughout the galaxy. Some of them are. Captain Logan Harris floated in the zero-gravity command center of the Nexus, his hands hovering over controls that could reshape the galaxy. Around him, his team worked frantically to understand systems that had been built by human minds millions of years more advanced than their own. Logan, you need to see this, Dr. Emma Clark called from across the chamber. She had been studying the deeper archives, trying to understand why the ancient humans had built such elaborate fail-safes into their technology. Logan pushed off from the control console and drifted over to Emma's station. The holographic display showed a complex biological diagram that took him a moment to recognize. It's the reset protocol, Emma explained. The weapon that ended the Terran hegemony. But Logan, it wasn't just a weapon. It was a test. What kind of test? Emma highlighted sections of the biological code. The purists who created it weren't just trying to strip away human enhancements. They were programming humanity's eventual return to power. The weapon contained specific triggers that would only activate when humans had learned certain lessons. Logan studied the data streams flowing across the display. What kind of lessons? Humility, cooperation, the ability to work with others as equals instead of subjects. The weapon was designed to keep humanity primitive until they evolved past the arrogance that destroyed the First Empire. The implications hit Logan like a physical blow. So our return to space, our discovery of the alien civilizations, even finding these ruins, it was all planned? Not planned exactly, but expected. The weapon's creators believed that if humanity was worth saving, they would eventually develop the wisdom to use their power responsibly. And if they didn't, Emma gestured at the controls around them, then the galaxy would be better off without them. Meanwhile, the battle for the Nexus was reaching its climax. Captain Dana Bell watched as more fleets dropped out of hyperspace every hour. The space around the ancient facility was becoming crowded with ships from dozens of species, some there to support humanity's return, others determined to prevent it. The Korthax Empire had brought their most powerful warships, massive dreadnoughts capable of destroying entire worlds. But they weren't alone. The Independence Coalition had assembled the largest military force in recorded galactic history. Over 300 ships representing 17 different species. On the other side, humanity's supporters had gathered their own fleet. The Vorthak brought their elegant crystal ships. The Drift Collective contributed their phase-shifting vessels. Even some species that had remained neutral for centuries had chosen sides. Captain Bell, came a transmission from the Korthax flagship. This is your final warning. Order your people to abandon the Nexus and withdraw to Earth space immediately. We will not allow humans to reactivate their empire. Dana looked at the tactical display. The Independence Coalition had them outnumbered 3-1, and their ships were newer and better armed than anything in the human fleet. In a straight fight, it would be a massacre. Fleet Commander Cax, Dana replied. We're not here to rebuild an empire. We're here to understand our history and find our place in the galaxy. Just like you. Lies, Cax snarled. We know what humans are capable of. We've seen the records of your ancestors' power. We will not be enslaved again. Again? Dana asked. Commander, when were the Korthax ever enslaved by humans? There was a long pause before Cax answered, and when he did, his voice was quieter. Our oldest legends speak of the time before the silence, when the builders ruled and all others served. And what do those legends say about how the builders treated their subjects? Another pause. They say the builders were kind, that they taught rather than commanded, guided rather than controlled. But legends lie, do they? Dana asked. Commander, what if your legends are true? What if humans really were teachers rather than masters? The question hung in space between the opposing fleets, unanswered but not forgotten. Deep inside the Nexus, Dr. Kevin Ross had made a breakthrough that changed everything. He had successfully interfaced with the central AI that controlled the entire facility, and what he learned turned their understanding of the Terran hegemony upside down. The Empire never fell, Kevin announced to his stunned colleagues. It went into hibernation mode, waiting for humanity to return and claim its inheritance. Dr. Emma Clark looked up from her own research. What do you mean it never fell? Every system, every colony world, every piece of infrastructure built by the original hegemony is still active. It's been maintaining itself for millions of years, using automated systems that the alien civilizations never even knew existed. Kevin activated the main display, showing the true extent of human presence in the galaxy. What they saw took their breath away. The hyperspace routes that connected every major system had been built by humans and were still owned by humans. The communication networks that allowed galactic civilization to function were human technology, administered by human AI systems. Even the basic environmental controls that kept most worlds habitable were part of the ancient Terran infrastructure. The alien species have been living inside a human-built galaxy for millions of years, Kevin said in amazement. They think they're independent, but they're all still part of our civilization. They just don't know it. And now we have the choice of whether to tell them, Emma said quietly. The moment of decision came when the Independence Coalition opened fire, not on the human ships but on the Nexus itself. Massive energy beams from the Korthax dreadnought struck the ancient facility, trying to destroy it before humanity could fully reactivate their ancient empire. The beams hit the Nexus and simply disappeared, absorbed by defensive systems that made the attackers' weapons look like toys. Impossible, Fleet Commander Cax whispered, as his most powerful weapons had no effect whatsoever on the human facility. That's when Captain Dana Bell made the most important decision in human history. All ships, stand down, she ordered the human fleet. Do not return fire. Captain, asked her weapons officer. They're shooting at us. And they can't hurt us, Dana replied calmly. Let them see that we don't need to fight them. We're not here to conquer anyone. Instead of retaliating, Dana opened communication channels to every ship in the system. This is Captain Dana Bell of the Terran Commonwealth, she announced, using the name that Kevin Ross had discovered in the Nexus archives. To all species present, human and non-human alike, I want you to understand something. We are not here to rebuild the Terran hegemony. We are here to build something new. The firing stopped as every ship in the system listened to her words. Our ancestors made mistakes, Dana continued. They created an empire based on the idea that humans knew what was best for everyone else. They tried to guide their children instead of letting them grow up and make their own choices. That empire deserved to fall. On the Independence Coalition flagship, Fleet Commander Cax listened in stunned silence. But we've learned from their mistakes, Dana said. We've spent 50,000 years as a young species, struggling to reach the stars just like all of you did. We've learned what it means to be uncertain, to make errors, to grow through failure. And we've learned the most important lesson of all, that no species, no matter how advanced, has the right to rule over others. Inside the Nexus, Dr. Emma Clark was making the final preparations to reactivate the sleeping human colonies. But instead of the massive imperial restoration that everyone expected, she was following a very different plan. Are you sure about this, Emma? Kevin asked as she prepared to wake up the first colony world. We can't repeat our ancestors' mistakes, Emma replied. If we reactivate the entire hegemony at once, we'll just recreate the same power imbalance that led to the Civil War. But if we wake up the colonies gradually, give them time to adapt to the modern galaxy, Maybe we can build something better. The first colony to wake up was New Geneva, a world that had been in suspension for over 4 million years. As the stasis systems deactivated, cities that had slept beneath ice began to stir. Humans who had gone to sleep at the height of the Terran hegemony opened their eyes to find their empire gone and their children grown into independent civilizations the awakening humans handled the shock remarkably well. They had known the reset protocol might be activated, had prepared for the possibility that they might sleep for eons. What they hadn't expected was to wake up and find that the galaxy had thrived without them. Commander Julie Brooks was among the first of the awakened humans, emerging from her stasis pod on New Geneva, with the memories of the Golden Age still fresh in her mind. When she learned what had happened during the Great Silence, her reaction surprised everyone. "Good," she said simply. "We needed to be humbled. The hegemony had become too proud, too certain of our own righteousness. Perhaps sleeping for a few million years was exactly what we needed." The integration process took months, but it worked better than anyone had dared hope. The awakened humans brought knowledge and perspective from the height of galactic civilization, while the modern humans contributed wisdom gained through millennia of struggle and growth. Together, they established the Galactic Commonwealth, a new form of government that included every species as equal partners rather than subjects of human rule.